This is Peggy Ann Childers. That's the name I have to use. My real name is Margaret Ann Windsor, and I was kidnapped in 1941 and brought to Moulton, Alabama, given the name of a twin, Peggy Dempsey. And later I married Childers. Well, that's not my name. Carl and Peggy were both dead. They were born out of wedlock and killed by their mother, Lina. So I grew up in that whole mess, taken from loving arms, and I'm not going to go into that. I've already told this so many times on YouTube and on Facebook. I wrote about mind control murders back in '76 till April Fool Day of '80 when they put antifreeze in me, and it's a miracle I lived. Let me put it that way. Had a letter from the FBI, June the 23rd, '79, ongoing investigation, national security involved. Now, Larry Flint was one of the mind control, had been shot by mind control victim, because these are victims themselves. They didn't ask, most of them don't even know they've been placed under mind control. How could they? And if they did and they went to a doctor, do you know what they would do to them? And these doctors should know the difference. If they don't, something's very wrong. So I wanted to get that in. I was doing the book, and Larry McDonald was part of the book, case in the book. He's a U.S. congressman, or was, and a doctor, urologist at Piedmont Hospital in Atlanta. I was doing the book 75 or 76 till April Fool of '80 when all that happened. And I thought it was because of the book. Later, I'm flown out to Larry Flint's home. St. Cloud is a street in Bel Air. He lives, well, I don't know where he lives right at the moment, in Los Angeles, Beverly Hills, yeah. But anyway, Mr. Flint flew me out there October of '83 when the plane that Larry McDonald, Dr. Congressman, was on was shot down by the Soviets, or the Russian jet, and it veered into the airspace. And I was trying to tell everybody what can be done with mind control. And the people placed under mind control are victims just as much as the one that's been shot or butchered, like Jens Orens and Elizabeth Haysom next door in Bedford County. And that's where I'm going with what I'm going to say next here. Jens and Elizabeth were students at University of Virginia in Charlottesville, and I had crossed paths, or ours had, Jens and mine, just before I was flown out to Larry Flint's. No, well, yeah, no, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not sure it was before or after I was flown out there. It was during the campaign at Lovett or Lovell. I keep forgetting. It was a private school. I was sent out there by a temp agency at Hawkins, and I had become a candidate to replace this Dr. Congressman. Where am I going with this? There were murders done in patterns, and Larry Flint was one of them, and I told everybody that, and his attorney was killed about 50, 60 miles from Marietta in Lawrenceville, Georgia. Lawrence County, Alabama, is where I was taken when I was kidnapped. And, well, of course, Larry Flint, or Lawrence McDonald, Larry is just a nickname for Lawrence. So where I want to get this out, I've suffered a lot from all this. I'm from telling the truth, and from my being kidnapped, I didn't commit a crime. I can't even say my name without fear of, okay? So where I'm going with this is, you won't get anything from this, but where I'm living, the manager's name is Allison. Where a person who I know very well, who got me an apartment over at Richfield years ago, and there's a story behind that. But her name's Allison, and I think he lives there now, so he told me. It gets back to Allison, was the last home I had, Westgate subdivision in Marietta, and when I was still married, and the next door neighbor was the Allisons. So you don't want, you can say what you want to, if it comes to be, it does, because I'm going to say this. There's a list: Virginia Tech, the Tucson, Arizona shootings, but this goes way back, not just to the mass shootings. It's the agency that's doing this. What it is, the United States can mass hypnotize, if you want to call it for a better word, but mind control armies, and have been able to for a long time. MK Ultra goes way back, was brought before Congress, and evidently Congress has forgotten all about it back in about 1953. So mental illness is being a scapegoat for programming and mind control. And people are like the Aurora, Colorado, James Home, etc., have been treated like mentally ill and given misdiagnosed and given psychotic drugs when they're under mind control. You have to stop the mind control being done, so the programming, because they're victims themselves. Okay, now I've mentioned the Tucson, the Fort Hood shooter. There's a whole list of them. And what I wanted to go here is that when I was flown out to Flint's, I had never met him. I knew that it was a program shooter. It fit the patterns. And yes, I do know. And when I went there, I was flown out there October twice of 83 during the campaign. When I met him, I flown out there, and a limo driver took me there. Mr. Flint said, you don't have to tell me anything about yourself. I know everything there is to know. And he said this. He said, I know they were going to send you back a vegetable. Well, he knew about the April Fool Day and the antifreeze and my being from Great Britain and who I am. But I wanted to get this in, that I'm going to stop for tonight, because the Allison also connects with WDBJ7's Allison Parker and Adam Ward, I believe was his name, that were shot over at Smith Mountain Lake. And this is in Bedford County. So there's another, that's your 4 Allisons, right there, 1, 2, 3, yeah. But the other thing is, I think the guy that shot her was a former employee of WDBJ7, and he was AKA Williams. So this goes back to when I first started telling, well, I was writing the book. I didn't just start telling it then. But Wayne Williams was one of the people that, I'm going to say this, he was in Atlanta, and he's in prison, state prison, for the killing of the blacks there. Well, the killings kept on going. They just charged him with 2 of them. This is weird. The police commissioner there in Atlanta then was Lee Brown. Lee Brown went on, after the murders, he went on out to Houston, became police commissioner a couple of times for a long time. He became Houston mayor. He went on to be drug czar in the Clinton administration, of all things, okay? Now then, I want to go back to Atlanta. He and the black mayor, Maynard Jackson, okay? They renamed Hartsville to Jackson Hartsville after him. Okay, they went on ABC, morning show, back just prior to the arrest of Wayne Williams. And they both said that Wayne didn't commit the murders. This is what I was telling everybody, that it was the mechanism used. Only they never told what the mechanism is. It's mind control. So, The List is the name of the book by Chet Detlinger, who was an FBI agent, retired, and they even said he did the killings briefly. But that's when they brought in the profilers. The first time I think they brought profilers in, like Criminal Minds. Okay, now I want to get to I have to put this up, I want to get back to WDBJ7. I have gone to all the media. They will not print it or tell it because they're controlled. Just what's going on with Donald Trump. And George Wallace was shot, Alabama. By the way, the woman that was working on his campaign was the woman that I had to call mother, where they put me when they kidnapped me. She was in his campaign in Laurel, Maryland. He did not like her, but she was up there with him and had worked in his campaign when he was shot. Now I'm going to, that was a program shooter. He's in prison. But I want to go back to WDBJ7. This afternoon, they told about a young fella, 18 years old, that had, his name is Daniel, which I can't explain that right now. It's very much a part of the program, the names, patterns. Okay, Daniel, and his last name is Flint, Flint. Okay, it was this. He shot at a WDBJ7 reporter, his car, and another car, and no one was hurt. Well, he's hurt. He's programmed, and you've got the same thing going. Well, he'll get help, mental health care. He's probably programmed the day he was born, because this has been going on for a long time. So, he's hurt. Let me clue you. And mental illness is getting blamed for it when it's programming. So this happened in Thaxton, outside of Bedford, I believe, a city of Bedford. And the other thing I wanted to get here is, part of it I've already put up on another tape, so I'm not going to try to go into that. The tape's going out anyway. But Larry Flint, it's a different spelling, Flynt. Larry Flint's middle name is Larry Claxton Flint. By the way, his first wife's name was Peggy. But you get into the stuff that is really weird, all of it. You wonder who really put all this together. But you got the Thaxton is a little community where Daniel Flint, Flint, did the shootings today. Now, there was a movie with James Coburn back before I wrote the book, so I'd have to go back and see, about 1977 1976 that time, in like Flint, Flint. I'm going to leave it at there, because I've told everybody I haven't lied one time about any of this. The problem is I can't get up here on all the videos I've done, the hell in the list, everyday list of crimes that have been done to me and to my sons, to my country, and to my mom and dad, and they're no longer alive, I would suppose. So anyway, I'm going to leave it at this.